Yeah. So by this theory, what we can understand, we measure the effectiveness of leadership, which is leadership effectiveness is dependent on the situation. Therefore, we call it as leadership contingent theory or situational theory. Okay, this is all about leadership theories. Then we will shift to next topic called, I can also tell you one case study here, and all the students are advised to develop one case study and present through mail. For example, you take Mahatma Gandhi or Chandrababu Naidu, or you can also take Jawaharlal Nehru or Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, or even who is Google chairman now, CEO, or Infosys, who is the Infosys owner and founding chairman, founder? Narayana Murthy.
Narayan Murthy and Sudha Murthy. Yes, sir.
Narayana Murthy. So you take one individual who is, according to you, he is a leader, and what traits he has. Apply all these three theories. What are they? Trait theory, behavioral theory, and situation theory or contingency theory. So you develop a matrix. Take left side, name of the leaders, and take right side 3 or 4 dimensions or minimum 2 dimensions, and try to measure the effectiveness. Then you will be able to know what type of personality they have, and they fall under which category of leadership, whether they are belongs to trait theory of leadership or behavioral theory of leadership or contingency of leadership. Otherwise, you can also take basic classification of leadership, ABCD, and transactional and transformational leadership. Either any of the dimension you take it and develop one case, write a paragraph about this leader, and then we will discuss tomorrow. Okay, so all these students are given one assignment called, you identify the leader and write about him in a paragraph form, in the form of paragraph according to you, and present. Okay, this will be a case study for you or assignment for you. There are some cases are available in the textbook. You can read, for instance, and you can develop some story, say 10-15 lines, and conclude that what are his traits, what are his contributions, and how can we link what kind of leadership he has. Okay, so this is a case study for you tomorrow, and then we'll move on to next topic. Mr. Sukumar, you can start another slide called group dynamics. Okay, so we'll quickly run through because we have to complete 3 more topics today, and we will go a little fastly. Is it okay?
Okay,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Because leadership is a very important topic, therefore I took almost 1.5 session. Okay, now we'll quickly go through the topic called
Group dynamics.
and then conflict management and stress management. Okay, so a case study is given, assignment is given to you about leadership. So you can also analyze yourself with in relation to what type of leadership theory you are belongs to, or trait, or behavioral theory, or contingency theory. If you have any situations come across like that boy, what he did, school going boy. So if any that kind of situation you come across in your life, you can take lead from there. Okay, Now, Sukuma, please share the slides, and now let us talk about what is group. Hello, Trupti.
Yes, sir.
So, what is group? When more than two people are working together, walking together, talking together, or moving together, or sitting together, whatever it is. But when we call it more than two people are there, we call it group, not 1+1. 1+1 is 2, not the group. Group connotes more than 2. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
So then what we call for two people? It is twin.
Two people. Twin. Yes.
Twin. Single is single, it is not a group. So group,
Yes.
yeah, when more than three people come together for any specific purpose, we call it as group. Okay.
Group. Yes, sir.
See, you think yourself taking some situation, we think individually different, and when we are into a group, our thinking process is getting changed or it gets altered. Is it or not?
Yes, sir.
Why? So
Because every individual has an opinion, and we may not agree with another person, and a
okay,
conflict may arise.
right. Because you have some opinion about X. Okay.
Yes, sir.
When
Yes,
it
sir.
comes to group, they may have some opinion about the same X.
Yes, sir.
Then your opinion will get altered or changed. Earlier you thought negatively
Yes.
or say positively, but generally people talk negative first,
Yes.
then positive. Because if I ask you to list out the positive qualities of Anand Pawar or XYZ, it is very difficult to identify. But if someone asks you what are the negatives of Anand Pawar or XYZ, people will pick a number of points. Is it or not?
Yes, sir.
Why? Because always we think negative to positive. We have to move on. Positivity means when we talk about positive, so we have to consider there has been their negatives or say dark to light.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will ask you one question. Anybody other than Trupti has to answer me now. Okay. So when day starts, anybody? There is a night and day, right? We call generally 24 hours as a day. Okay. So when you divide a day into two parts, we call it dark and light or day and night. Okay. Can you tell me when day starts or from where day starts?
Sir, early in the morning from 4 a.m. sir.
Morning 4 a.m. Okay. Anybody? Please, how many you are there?
14, sir.
Yeah, 14, at least 10 has to respond. So when day starts?
12 a.m. sir.
One says 4 o'clock, one says 5 o'clock, another says 6 o'clock.
12
Is
a.m.
it or not? Because 12 a.m. starts day, but it is dark. Is it or not?
Yes, sir.
It means day starts from night, that is dark, and moving towards light, and in the middle, dark day will catch up light. Is it or not?
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
so day starts from 12 a.m., but it is midnight and dark. Too dark. Is it or not? But it means light day starts from dark and takes or reaches the day in a day by picking up the light at 6 o'clock. So if it don't start at 12 o'clock, can it catch up light? Obviously,
No,
no. It means what? Day starts in dark. It means positive starts from negatives. You got my point?
Yes, sir.
yes,
So
sir.
I'm trying to say what is positive and what is negative and how they origin.
Yes, sir.
So half of the positive starts in the dark itself, means negative. Say night is negative and day is positive. Okay. So when day is starting at in the middle of the day, that is midnight of the dark. But it is day. But how can it is day? It is night, which is dark. But at the same time, we cannot call after 6 o'clock is light, though it is coming light after 6 or 5. Because day starts from 12 o'clock. Similarly, positive starts from the middle of negatives. From where it starts? Middle of the negatives. Similarly, we need to understand how positives and negatives goes. Okay. Yeah. What about this slide? Mr. Sukumar.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
just a moment, sir. I'm texting him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please try to do it. So what I'm trying to establish is how to understand group. Because when we are, see, we all of us know day starts at 12 o'clock, 12 in the midnight, but we are not saying that, all are not saying that it starts at night. Why? Because level of understanding varies from person to person. Is it or not? Now I think everybody got light, or day starts from 12 o'clock, but it is midnight, very dark. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
when we are not aware of fact, we are obviously in the dark, means negative side. So when we are with negative opinion, obviously we talk about only negatives, and of course later on means one who join with us, someone, and say something good about X person, then we come slowly from negative to positive, towards positive. So this is called group effect or group impact. Otherwise, what happens, same opinion will go throughout the life. For example, I will share you one example which was happened with me when I was studying +2, 12th standard. I in a Gurukulam, because I was studied in AP Residential Junior College, Bhadrachalam. So where one of my friend was, is very lazy. He used to get late. He used to come to college late. He will not participate in the morning, what you call exercises, or what you call yoga, meditation, small activities, exercises. And his name I will tell you, because a very unique name, and that name may prove later on with the same name. How? I will tell you a small story. What happened? One friend was there who was MPC student at that time, and his name was DSP, D. Sivaram Prasad. So whenever our PD, physical director, comes, he used to escape. He will not join with us for exercise or PT sessions. And most of the classes he bunks. So we used to call him, he's a donga. He escapes from the class, exercise, PT and everything. And of course, but by that time, his father was a DSP, Again, see, coincidentally, his name is DSP. His father was DSP. From the sub-inspector to he became DSP when he was in 10+2. So DSP means Deputy Superintendent of Police. And his name also DSP, D. Sivaram Prasad. And after completion, successful completion, because of course, he cleared his intermediate very successfully because he's an intelligent boy by nature. But his habits were like that because he tries to avoid class and that and this. But what was the opinion formed by other friends on him? He is a donga. This he tries to avoid everything. But what happened after successful completion of our program and most of them are settled, and as and when we meet and greet, we try to recall about DSP. I happen to ask one of my friend, "Arey, what about DSP? What he is doing?" And then my couple of friends, both of them said, "Arey, he was donga, no, he might not settle down in the life because he maybe remain donga." That was the opinion they formed. But what I did, I extensively worked on this issue to know what is happening with that friend. So I inquired through some friend who are our classmates who settled down in different domains and all that. So finally, what we got, is the outcome. He became DSP by group on through group on officer. Directly he became DSP. His father was DSP, his name is DSP, and again he became DSP. Imagine. So I said, because at the time of, during childhood days, we commit so many mistakes. We try to theft some pen, pencil, or book, something else, but one cannot name him permanently donga. But what happened in case of DSP? He proved that he is not donga, but he became police officer who punishes the donga. Is it or not? So from this story, what we have to draw a conclusion? The nature is not permanent.
Yes, sir.
The activities what we did once upon a time is not remain same. The behavior is not same. Is it or not? So now the opinion of all the friends were changed because most of the friends could become small employees, but he started his career from group 1 level and now he is SP in Andhra Pradesh. He's a superintendent police. He's heading one district. Imagine after 25, 30 years, now he is SP and he may retire as a DG or DGP or even sometimes IGP also. So we should not think in the same domain forever about anybody else. Why? Because dynamics, always dynamics means, what is dynamics? Which is not static is dynamic. For example, in childhood days, everybody, what we do? We keep our finger in the mouth like this, right? Like drink milk. So how many of you are doing the same now? Are you doing? Anybody? No. But it does not mean that we have done and we continue same character or behavior throughout our life. So group dynamics, when you are into group, your situation makes you to change, makes you to behave and makes you to act and react. So this is how we have to understand the group dynamics or individual dynamics, because so many things are taking place. Technology is changing every day. Environment is changing. Situations are changing. Therefore, how individuals behave in groups is also important as managers. Okay. So let us talk about group dynamics or group behavior. What factors determines group behavior? What about the slide? Mr. Sukumar, what happened? Still you are showing leadership only.
Sir, the topic was not available, sir. I think add అవ్వలేదు
Yeah.
అనుకుంటా, sir.
Okay, then no problem. I can continue this topic, nothing to worry about it. But they have to carefully listen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
They listen, sir.
So dynamics means ever changing. Okay. So many situations takes place. I will also tell you one situation which is also linking to leadership, but it comes under what you call group dynamics or behavior, group behavior or individual behavior. So individual behaviors are not static when it comes to group behavior, and group behavior is similarly, group behavior is also not static in case of individual opinion or behavior. So this is what we need to understand, because in organizations we work with many people. Therefore, we need to understand all these dynamics taking place in the organization, and we have to understand, cope up, and also go ahead, because our work is group, because we have to work in a team. Therefore, team spirit is important when we are working in a team, because alone cannot do sometimes any task, but together we can do anything else. If you take the example of the same boy, though he started initiating to lift the big tree which was fall down on road, but later he could stimulated others to come and give him a strength. And as a result, what happened? The outcome is problem being solved. Problem is solved. So group initiation or group activities takes place with one individual also. Somebody has to get an idea. One who gets an idea can able to stimulate and motivate in groups. Therefore, we call it different types of groups will be there. How can you say problem solving group? For example, there are, how many groups are there in army? There are more than half a dozen teams are there. All are called army, but their different groups take care of different activities, and one do not know what is happening with others, but they are all working for a common cause called national security. So to ensure the national security, what they have to do as force, they have to work together, whatever group they are working in, and achieve the goal, group goal, that is leading to collaborative work, that leading to team building, and also enable some individuals to prove their leadership qualities. Through that, what we can understand? We can understand the different issues during the group. We call it cultural issues also, because different people come from different, with different culture, with different background, with different personality, with different exposure, with different knowledge, and so on. So when all these put together, we call it as group dynamics or group behavior. Ultimately, group behavior should lead to achieve organizational goals. And when we are working in a group, obviously there are some understanding as well as misunderstanding. Is it or not? Yeah. When
Yes, sir.
as long as understanding is going on, the success of organization is also going on. But when misunderstanding starts with any one of the individual members working in the organization, when it what you call spreads plus one more than one among 2, 3, 4 and like that, then issue called conflict arises. So when conflict arises within, sometimes individual what you call conflict can also be called as conflict within, conflict between, and conflict among. So again, types of conflict: individual conflict, intra conflict, and group conflict. Sometimes, when you think about is there God or not, sometimes we think God is there. Sometimes we think where is that God? So we are in dilemma situation. When our parent says there is a God, so therefore we believe. Somebody says, teacher or someone says, and he tries to prove something, then we think that yeah, it is true, no, there is no God. So we keep thinking with the same person happens like this. So it is called intra conflict within one individual. I will also tell you one more example saying X, Y, and Z are friends. When X and Y meet, they talk about X negatively. And when X and Z meets, they talk about Y. And when Y and Z meet, they talk about X. It is obvious nature. Is it or not?
Yes, sir.
So, for example, when A and B are talking, X and Y are talking about Z, after meeting Z and X, he may know something new. Then, whatever I discussed yesterday is not correct. Now I got some information which is fact. When information backed by some fact, we struggle sometimes to decide which is right and which is wrong, which is known as intra-conflict. Means within conflict, within the individual conflict. I thought negatively, but he is not a negative person. Or I thought very positive, but he is a very dangerous person, I come to know through someone. So this is how we think about. This is all happens in groups, because organization is a group of people working together for a common goal. We have to work all together for a common goal. When we are working together, definitely everybody have to have common thinking, common understanding, common behavior. But is it happens? Most of the times
No.
may not happen. So we call it, all these are leading to conflict. It may be intra conflict, it may be inter means between two, or it may be among the group means many. We call it group conflict. So what is the concept of conflict? Misunderstanding. Okay. Sometimes we may take it positive when it is negative. We may take it negative when it is positive. So it is what? Misunderstanding. So first and foremost stage in conflict is misunderstanding, means which is against the fact. Okay, fact may be positive or fact may be negative, either. But fact is fact. When someone proves that he has done some committed mistake, so we have to consider that fact as a fact when it is backed by some support or evidence. So there are so many groups, while understanding this conflict management in organizations, there are so many conflict types, issues takes place. What are the reasons for conflict? What are the causes for conflict? So we all of us know first and foremost one is misunderstanding. Okay. Next, anybody? Because of belief system. because of value system, because of scarcity of resources, because of nature of relationship, and so on. When resources are not adequate, then misunderstanding takes place between the manager and subordinate or among the peers. Anyway, it takes place because of misunderstanding, or somebody may have some values. One individual says, I believe in this. So it does not mean that everybody should follow the same, because their value system may be different. So every individual has their own value system because of their community, because of their background, because of their family background, because of their so many aspects we have to take into consideration, because of their educational background, and so on. So all these will determine the understanding and belief system. For example, we always talk about in our country, religious conflicts. One talks about another negatively, and so on. So a vertical conflict may take place, displaced conflict, and false conflict, latent conflict. So these are the different types and combinations of conflict. Then let us talk about contingent conflict. What is contingent? This conflict is resolvable, but parties are not aware of it. It is known as contingent conflict. Displaced conflict. The parties fail to understand the real issue and argue over secondary issues. You got my point? So likewise, task conflict, relationship conflict, process conflict, and so many. But what are the sources? Okay, we know the reasons of conflict. But what are the sources of conflict? Internal sources, external sources, specializations, goal differences, interdependence, authority relationship, roles and expectations, and jurisdictional ambiguities. Sometimes what happens, what is jurisdictional ambiguities? Because one should not encroach others' domain. For example, manager A and B are there. So manager A has to do certain things and manager B has to do certain things. So one should not encroach in the domain of others. So as and when this kind of situation takes place, we call it jurisdictional ambiguities, that is leading to conflict. We all of us know interstate conflict in terms of water, river water disputes, border disputes. All this takes place because why? Some common interest, certain issues which are encompasses dual interest. Therefore, there is a chances of conflict. These are all the concept. And then group conflict. The main reasons are resources, differentiation, because conflict also arises when you are a manager. If you are showing some interest in some person who is your relation or some closeness, then others may feel that discomfort. So a boss or a manager, all employees working under you should be treated equal and the same. Otherwise, differentiation will come. Then scarcity resources, because of scarcity of resources also conflict comes. Okay, for example, if you take when A and B are sharing their properties or resources, whatever it is, obviously disputes takes place. Those who born to the same parent, when they are sharing their property, cash or whatever, obviously the issue takes place. Nobody will resolve it without any conflict. At least a small conflict will crop up because of vested interest or individual interest. all these leading to group conflicts. So this is how we have to understand the conflict. Okay, and there are cases are given at the end of your textbook. If you read out, you can understand how conflict management, and as a manager, how you have to manage conflict. Can you suggest a couple of points through which we can, resolve the conflicts? Anybody?
So we can try to be amenable rather than confront a person, because nobody likes confrontations.
Okay, collaborations.
And to always ask somebody else's opinion before just trying to shove our opinions on them.
Okay.
Negotiation, sir.
Hello? Anybody? See, there are some strategies, conflict management strategies. Okay. So we generally avoiding is a strategy. Ignoring, avoiding, understanding, resolving. Okay. When you can resolve, when you adequately or sufficiently evidenced by facts and figures, you can clarify the doubts or ambiguity between the groups or individuals, you can resolve. Initially, what we generally do is we avoid, we ignore, we involve, we make them understand. Freezing, unfreezing, refreezing, all these phases takes place. Okay, this is how interpersonal relationship. So we have to establish good healthy relationship in the organization through which we can resolve so many or most of the conflicts arising out of the work situations.
So,
So if you look at, yes.
excuse me, sir. So avoiding, I can understand, sir. But how can ignoring help us to avoid conflicts, sir?
Yeah, for example, if I take you one small example in a classroom situation or parent situation. So when two kids are fighting each other, generally parents they oversight, because though they are observing, but they feel that they are not looking at, and that is the impression they give. It
Yes.
means what? Now they are fighting. Later they only play together because invariably they have to play together. So small issues we don't want to. We should not interfere and make it big. So what we can do? We can ignore to some extent. When it is cropping up, then one may have to intervene.
Okay.
So avoiding is completely not to look at.
So supervised
But
ignorance.
ignoring,
Supervised ignorance.
yes. Yeah. So you have to, lack of supervision.
Okay.
For example, when parents gone out, kids were fighting each other. The parents do not know what is happening.
Yes,
So,
sir.
and the same situation takes place in the presence of parents. So earlier one is avoiding because they have already avoided. Physically they are not there.
Yes, sir.
When they are available physically, but they are ignoring it as a small or negligible issue or small issue. It is a petty case, small case.
Okay, sir.
So we can also avoid like that. Right.
Thank you, sir.
So now we'll move on to, so when all these are related, leadership to group, because leadership always takes group, right? So group
Yes, sir.
dynamic. So when you are working in a group, there is a scope for conflict. How to understand conflict, how to resolve conflict, all you have to understand. And when you are in conflict,